What is going on, people? It's your boy Archery. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with my last Sandbox video from Season 1. This is my Sandbox Draft League Season 1 Championship Breakdown video. If you guys didn't know, I actually won Postwick Division in Sandbox. This is my first Dynamax league win, and I was very, very happy to get it. GG's again to Wakeman. That was a damn good set. I got lucky with the Scald. Took this to game 3, and I kind of just won. So it was one hell of a set for sure. One I'll remember for the rest of my life. And let's just get right into it. So start things off. Here's just a breakdown of what I'm gonna be talking about in this video. Intro, draft plan, the actual draft, week-to-week analysis, and the overview. So let's just get right into it. So this is about me. Shout out to my boy Rennie for this logo. I think it's the best logo anybody's ever made for me, period. So a little bit about me. I've been playing competitive Pokemon since 2013, in the late stages of Black and White, and I've started playing Draft in about 2016-ish. I couldn't get an exact date. 2016 is about the time where I started playing. As a kid, I idolized Sejin Park, Jay Flynn, Alex Agloza. Those are like big time names in the Pokemon community back in the day. Sejin Park obviously for winning worlds with Pachirisu, and Jay Flynn and Alex Agloza also. Alex Agloza won, I forget what year that was, but he won, and Jay Flynn was one of the inspirations behind me actually getting into Draft League and just learning VGC in general. I started off as a singles player actually. I didn't actually always like doubles. I liked singles a lot more back in the day. I actually have 5 championships to my name over my career since 2016. BJL Season 1, which was a singles league. Moomin Valley Seasons 2 and 3, back-to-back. I joined Season 2 as a backup coach, or a replacement coach, I should say. Came back for Season 3, won it back-to-back. And WDL Seasons 5 and 6, that was it was the non-max, was it Series 10? It was back-to-back Series 10 seasons, and I won both seasons with, I won each season with a different Calyrex form. I won Season 5 with the Glacial Lance one, and then I won the Season 6 with Shadow Rider. So, yeah, and now I have my first Dynamax Championship, Sandbox Season 1. I made it to 4 separate finals appearances. Other than that, GLDL seasons 1 and 2, SBDL Justice Division Season 6, and BJL Season 2. GLDL and XPDLA were both doubles leagues, and the BJL was obviously the singles league. I made it to finals after I won Season 1. So let's just get right into the draft plan. Obviously, this is a Little Cup format with Dynamax, so there was a lot of thinking I had to do. I do have some experience in a Little Cup singles league that I did a while back, so I know how a lot of the mons work. Obviously, it's not exactly doubles or Dynamax, but you know, familiarity with some of the mons and some of the calcs maybe could potentially pan out in my favor. And let's just talk about the tier list really quick. So it was broke down into 5 tiers, tier 0 through 4. Tier 0s are obviously like the most broken mons in the format, like you saw Porygon, Mudbray, Rufflet, these 3 on the screen here. And by the way, I wanted these in this order, by the way. I just said by the way twice. I'm sorry. There's other ones too that didn't get drafted, like Munchlax and Wailmer, which I think are very, very, very good. Maybe not as good in Max, especially Wailmer, but has a lot of potential, as well as Poipole and let me think. What other 2-0s are there? I can't think of any off the top of my head. I guess that means that they weren't really that great. So, anyway, these are the 3 I really wanted. I really wanted Porygon more than anything. I just came off of a season with Celesteela in the GLDL, and I wanted to kind of replicate that in a Little Cup standpoint because I felt like I didn't get enough out of that team that I really wanted. So I kind of wanted to build this team like a Celesteela team, if that makes sense. Kind of cringe, I know, but Porygon was my number 1 option, as well as Mudbray and Rufflet. So the reason why I wanted Porygon over Mudbray is because actually you can run physical Porygon. You cannot run special Mudbray. So you have more offensive versatility with Porygon than you do Mudbray, as well as I think Porygon's abilities are better than Mudbray's. Personally, I prefer Download, Trace, and Analytic over like Inner Focus and Stamina, even though Stamina is really fucking good, as well as Rufflet. I wanted to use Rufflet, but then, so Raz, shout out to Raz for inviting me into the league, by the way. He was first pick. He told me in private he was taking Rufflet, period. So I was like, man, like I'm probably not going to get this Mon, but I still really wanted it. But I shifted it to the back. It probably would have been number 2 behind Porygon if I didn't get it. But then I had to shift Mudbray up a little bit in the hierarchy of what Mons I really wanted. And as y'all saw by my finals vid, if you saw that, Wakeman has been popping off with Mudbray. And I was one of 2 coaches to even take a stock off of it, to even kill it. It literally did not die all season, except for once until week 9, where I killed it once and gave it its second death, and then in finals twice. So it's a really, really good Mon. Mudsdale is obviously really good in the normal formats, and Mudbray is the same in Little Cup. If not, I would honestly argue that Mudbray has a bigger impact in Little Cup than Mudsdale does in the actual like regular formats. I think that's not a very unpopular opinion. I think it's kind of a common theme that we've noticed this season from Wake. He's been popping off with it, but Porygon was my number 1 option, and everything else was just Mons I really wanted to use. For example, Darumaka, I really wanted to use that. I wanted to use the Alolan Meowth. I thought in Tier 3, it was a steal of a pick. I feel like it has Tier 1 upside. I think it should be Tier 2 at least, but it has Tier 1 upside based off of the speed tier, which is 90, which is really, really, really good in Little Cup. I wanted Krogunk, which was the fastest coaching Mon that you could probably find that's not named Mienfoo, and Toxic was going to aim for that, and he already told me he was, so I had a game plan around that. I wanted Cubone because I had Marowak and VBA and dropped because of reasons I will not say on YouTube. That is between me and them. A lot of people already know. I will not get into that. And Mantike because I had Mantine in VBA also. So there were a lot of Mons that I didn't really get to finish using in VBA that I wanted to try their first evolution or like their baby evolution form. So Cubone's pretty ridiculous. Thick Club's obviously busted. It's really, really good defensively, not necessarily special defensively. Its spit F stat's not that great, but its defense stat is like 90, I'm pretty sure. So it's like, or 80. It's very, very good for Little Cup standards. And it's a very good Dynamax option too, so I want to try it. So these are kind of the Mons I wanted. The draft. Now this is probably one of my favorite drafts I've ever ended up with, and that's because I started off with Porygon, baby. I was 7th pick, and I got potentially a top 2 Mon in the format. I think it's the best. A lot of people think Rufflet and Mudbray are better. I personally prefer Porygon because it can operate in and out of Trick Room. It can set it for itself. It has the 5th highest base stat total in Little Cup, which is just awesome because it just means that it's even better as an Eviolite user. 3 great abilities, Trace, Download, Analytic, all very, very, very good. I used all of them. I used Analytic more often than not because I had a really good mode of Porygon plus support, and I would just max it turn 1 and just kind of win the game after turn 1 because he couldn't match my offensive output and he couldn't kill my Porygon. And I say he as in anybody who really played me. Other than the people in playoffs that I played who put it behind the ball, I should say. Porygon was a huge, huge, huge member of this team. It was the member. It was the team captain, if you will. It's just so good. If any of you ever play in a Dynamax Little Cup League, which probably won't because Scarlet and Violet come out in 3 days, and that shit's fucking cool. I'm very excited to try that game out, even though Porygon won't be in the game. You know, it is what it is. I'm not really too pressed about that, and Dynamax is gone too, so there goes there goes that. I'm just glad I could get a win out of a Dynamax League. I'm getting off topic here, but Porygon is fucking incredible. I would argue it's probably the best EV Light user, other than maybe Rufflet and Mudbray, like I said, or maybe Munchlax. It's just incredible. You can use both special and physical. You're getting analytic boosts off of an 85 base special attack stat, which is already one of the best in the format. On top of being super bulky, and you could get a download boost. You could trace somebody's ability, which would be good. In my game versus Wake in week 9, I ran Trace Porygon to try and trace the stamina off of Mudbray. And can you imagine Porygon with EV Light and stamina? I can't either, because it didn't happen. He brought Inner Focus. But yeah, anyways, this mon is fucking incredible. I'm very, 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 very glad I drafted it, and a lot of people hated going up against it and told me on a regular basis. So let's get into the second pick. I got Darumaka. I told people in the chat, I said, if you take Darumaka, I will come for your soul. Nobody took Darumaka except for me, so I got to nail my little guy right here. Pause. 90 base attack with Hustle. Its attack stat leaves it so that it is a top 10 threat in offensive output in the format, which is awesome. Great coverage for Dynamax. Fantastic EV Light user, and it has underrated support options too, like Will-O-Wisp and Leer and shit. So it's very, very, very good. I didn't get as much out of it as I wanted to, because Porygon just kind of took the main role away from the Darumaka max, which is what I really wanted, as well as another mon that I drafted, which should be 2 after this. I didn't really get much out of this like I wanted to, but it is a very, very, very good mon, and I kind of wish I got to use it a little bit more. Anyways, going on to next, I got probably the biggest steal in the draft, close to the other Meowth, which is also tier 3, the Cantonian Meowth, which Wake got. So it is an incredible support option. Incredible. Fake Out, Icy Wind, Charm, Knockoff, Parting Shot, Taunt, you name it. Like, it is incredible. It gets Screech also. I used that a couple times. It's one of the best value picks in this tier list. 90 base speed, you can't really beat that unless with a Scarf. It is one of the fastest mons in the format, and I got it in tier 3. You can't really ask for anything more except the fact that you could wish it gets Fake Tears and Snarl, which it just does not. Which means I had to figure out ways to add Snarl and Fake Tears, because those are the best ways to support Porygon. So I just kind of had to figure that out in a different member of my team, but you can't really beat a Meowth Alola in tier 3. That's why I took it in round 3. Everybody else is taking their tier 1s, tier 2s, whatever. I'm like, nah, I'm going for this, and I am so glad I did. This mon single-handedly won me just so many games. It was incredible. I didn't really use Knockoff that much, but Icy Wind, Charm, Fake Out, Parting Shot, Taunt, Foul Play, Screech, what else? U-Turn. I used a lot of different moves on this thing. It was very, very, very good. I think it's one of the best support options in the format, aside from maybe like Spritzy or like Mienfoo or something like that. So that's enough for Meowth. On to the co-MVP. I list this next mon as a co-MVP for sure of this season, and that is my boy Cubone. With Thick Club, it has the best attack stat in the format. Hands down. Nothing comes close except for like maybe Hustle, Rufflet. I think because it has the best attack stat in the format, and it has a great speed tier for Trick Room, which is 35, and it has Lightning Rod, I think it's great value in tier 2. I think it's one of those mons where it's too good for tier 2, but it wouldn't be that great in tier 1. There's a lot of those mons in the format, and there's a lot of mons like that in the regular format too. And I feel like this is one of those mons. I'm just very glad I got it on the downside of the tier list, on the tier 2 side instead of the tier 1 side. If it was tier 1, I probably still would have drafted it. I would have drafted it instead of Darumaka. But I'm very glad I got it in tier 2 because it opens up my tier 1 for another mon that I could use. Above average coverage, it gets the elemental punches besides Ice Punch. It gets Iron Tail, Brutal Swing, Bone Ring, obviously Rock Slide. Not much else you can ask for in the little cup. It is very, very, very good. I would recommend this mon to anybody. Unfortunately, like I said, it's not going to be in Scarlet and Violet, so I'm not going to be able to... Well, actually, I don't even think I mentioned that this is going to be in Scarlet and Violet. But anyway, oh yeah, that was Porygon. Cubone's not going to be in Scarlet and Violet, so I'm actually very glad I got to use some of these mons before they actually got put out of commission, so they're not going to be available anymore. So this mon was absolutely incredible for me all season long. It never let me down, not once. It always hit the calcs I needed because its attack stat is so good. There were multiple games. I won't show you guys my spreads, but I will tell you guys there were multiple games where I literally just ran like maybe like 100 something attack Jolly, or like 100 something attack Bold, or not Bold, like Impish or something like that. I didn't even have to put full investment for this thing to get calcs. It is absolutely nuts, and I'm so glad I got to draft it. Anyways, moving on. Gothita, another steal, I think. This in tier 2 is really, really good value. It's one of those mons where it's not good enough for tier 1, but it's high end of tier 2. This is a backup Trick Room setter for Porygon. This also gives me another fake tiers option. It is not slower than Porygon. However, it is slow enough to the point where all I have to do is adjust the speed IV on Porygon to underspeed it under Trick Room. So Gothita would go first, so I could fake tiers. I could chip things down with Expanding Force, which I had a mini side mode going. It was this mon was very, very good. Frisk, Shadow Tech, competitive, awesome abilities. It's a strong special option I could use under Trick Room without Dynamaxing it, which was great. So it can also benefit from its own fake tiers. I wanted to max this thing. I didn't really get a chance to do it. It also gets a funny move. Moving on. Staryu. This mon was incredible for me. It was quite literally the best special attacker other than Porygon on this team. It was absolutely awesome. The coverage it gets, y'all know Starmie's coverage. Yeah, it gets the same shit. Power Gem, Thunderbolt, Psychic, Ice Beam. Did I say Thunderbolt? I think I said Thunderbolt. Power Gem, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, Psychic. Like, you can't beat that. And it gets like Scald, Hydro Pump. It gets Icy Wind. That was one of the main reasons why I drafted it, was for the fast Icy Wind, so I didn't have to run Persian, and I would have a little bit more oomph behind the Icy Winds. Incredible speed stats at 85. And I put Star God there because of its very, very, very clutch burn it had in the finals match versus Wakeman. That burn was the only reason why I won that set. If I didn't get that burn, there's a very good chance I lose that game. If he hits the high horsepower, I basically lose. If I don't get that burn there, so Staryu came in clutch for me in the finals match for sure, and just all season long, it's just been really good to chip things down so that Porygon can get the kill, or just picking up KOs straight up, like outside of max, like picking up KOs on mons that Porygon didn't even have to hit. So I was like conserving value on my Dynamax just because it was just OHKOing things off the start. It got really, really good calcs. Base 70 special attacks, really good. Not as good as Porygon, but when you're launching specs Scalds, specs Psychics, specs Thunderbolts, Ice Beams, Icy Winds, or even Life Orb, I ran Life Orb a couple times, it's gonna pick up KOs, one-hit KOs all the time. This mon was absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait to use it in the future. Pancham. Coaching. Krogunk was gone. Thanks, Raz. Krogunk was gone. Coaching. Next. Rookity. This mon, I actually have a plushie of this mon because of how much love I developed for this mon. Semi-fast Tailwind, that's the reason why I picked it up. It also has fake tier support and unnerve, so I could run Scarf fake tiers, which I did a lot of the time. A ground immunity is pretty sweet. I didn't have one before. I was pretty weak to ground to begin with, and especially Max Quakes, because some of my main threats to deal with ground types are special, so Max Quake would seem pretty freeing on my team. A ground immunity is pretty sweet. Underrated support move pool. It gets Leer, fake tiers, it gets Tailwind, it gets a whole lot of shit. It gets U-turn. Did I say Leer? I'm pretty sure I said Leer. Pretty damn good. I will say that for sure. It was something I didn't necessarily see myself drafting until I saw it in tier 4, and I'm like, Tailwind in tier 4 with fake tiers and unnerve, sign me up. So that's all I have to say about Rookity. Rookity's fucking nuts. How about that? Axew. This is a mon that I did not see myself drafting, but the dragon types were going off the board pretty quick, including Noibat, which is one thing that I really, really wanted. Toxic kind of sniped that from me, unfortunately. So I had to settle for Axu. I had some physical threats like Darumaka and Cubone, but I like to spread things out a little bit. I don't like to have only 2 physical threats. I had that problem on my Celesteela team. I learned my lesson. I need to figure out ways to hit on both sides of defenses. So it was a much needed physical threat that I could Dynamax. I think it's good value for tier 3. It has like a base 83 attack stat, which is really sweet. Also another unnerved user. That's all there is really to it. Coverage is decent. It gets like Iron Tail. A couple other moves that I can't really think of at the moment. It's not the best coverage, not the worst. Pretty strong, relatively bulky. Speed tier kind of sucks, but I have ways to deal with that, whether that was min speed on this in Trick Room or just a Tailwind set. So moving on. Rockruff. I have a potential self-swagger with Rookie D with this Rockruff, and that's the only reason why I picked it up. Otherwise, I mean, Howl is a thing. Its coverage is pretty good. It gets all the Fang moves like Fire Fang, Thunder Fang, shit like that. It also gets Play Rough and Iron Tail, I think. On the Iron Tail, I think. I know it gets Play Rough, and I felt like it was pretty strong for tier 4, especially with the self-swagger potential. Since it has own tempo, it also has 4 abilities, 2 of which are kind of meh, but you know, it is what it is. I picked it up for its potential. I didn't really have any like intention of using it week to week, but I felt like it was good enough to pick up, so I just went along and did it. Grubbin, Scarf String Shot. That is all. So after the draft, I was super excited. I got the main core I wanted of Porygon, Cubone, Meowthalola, and second Trick Room setter that was Gothita. I was looking at Bronzor. I was looking at a couple other things. Potentially Spritzy in tier 1. That would have been crazy. But Krabby took it pretty early on, so I didn't even get a chance to think about it. Above average speed tiers on both sides. I think that the 35 on the Cubone is like slightly above average. I think if it was 30, it would be even better. And I got a 90 with Persian, and I have Tailwind and Trick Room in between, so I have good ways for speed control. It's pretty sweet, and I have Icy Wind all over the place and all this crap. So I missed out on stuff like Mantite, Krogunk, and Stuffle. I didn't mention Stuffle in one of my last slides, but I really wanted Stuffle because I felt like it could be a solid Eviolite user without a max, which I think is pretty rare. Because typically you want to max your Eviolite user or your AV user or whatever you have to take advantage of the defense boost you're getting, because the damage output in low cup is kind of low. And when you have Fluffy and you have Eviolite, it becomes super bulky to the point where not even Dynamax moves are going to be outgoing it. Even though Fluffy doesn't affect Dynamax moves, I'm just saying with the Eviolite stuff, yeah. More powerful than most teams after the initial draft. I noticed this in about week 2. I didn't notice this right after. When I was prepping, I realized like, wow, I have a lot of cool options. And these teams I was prepping for didn't really have that many. Like they had decent Mons, but they didn't have the offensive oomph that I had with like Porygon, Cubone, Axew, Darumaka, and then things like Gothita with Expanding Force or like Staryu. Like it's pretty cool that I drafted a very high power team. I've never really been known to do that. I had a pretty powerful team in GLDL Season 1, but I'm just very glad I got the core I wanted and then some good pieces around it. Alright, moving on. I was super stoked to try new options also. I've never used Meowthalola. I've used Alolan Persian before, but never Alolan Meowth. I've never used Gothita. I've used Gothitelle. Never used Staryu or Starmie, and I've used Haxorus in the past, and I've never tried Axew. So those are just a few, as well as Rookie D. I'm very, very, very excited to use that mon. Yeah, that's pretty much it about the draft thoughts. Just overall super excited to get started with the team and start trying to compete for a championship. So, you know, I go into every season with that mentality, and this was no different. So, all right, here's the meat and potatoes of this video. I went over the draft. I think it was about 25 minutes that I spent talking about who I was in my draft and what I wanted and stuff. So hopefully this won't take too long, because I don't want to keep you guys for more than like an hour or an hour and a half, because I've seen breakdown videos go for like 3 hours. I can't do that shit. I can't talk for that long. Y'all can't listen for that long. Let's just get started with this. Hopefully it won't take too long, but I have a lot of thoughts I want to get out. about each week because I didn't get a chance to like do analysis videos after every week. So let's just get started. Week 1, Miami Flare, myself taking on Dallas Star U. Krabby, shout out to Krabby. All right, so as you can see, it looks like Cubone just kind of 1v4 every game. It pretty much did. Game 1, I came up with this lead about, it was like I had Gothita, Meowth, and I had Porygon Cubone in the back. I was going to go hard Tricker him if I didn't see Spritzy. And I didn't see Spritzy, so I figured I was going to go hard Tricker him. I basically just parting shot it out after I got Tricker him up with Fake Out plus Tricker him. I had 2 insane, or I wouldn't say insane, but I had 2 good Zorua calls. I called the Zorua and faked it out before I could taunt my Gothita. And that basically allowed me to set up my Cubone for victory here. As you can see, ground kind of just goes in, and Cubone gets calcs. It was one-shotting everything. There is nothing on this team that doesn't get one-shotted by a Max Quake, including Qfant, Dynamaxed. Cubone still killed it. Like, it was insane. It kind of set the tone for the rest of my season with Cubone. I knew I could lean on this thing whenever I needed. Can't really take hits that well, especially grass or water hits on the special side. But with Lightning Rod, it was pretty sweet. And on top of that, it was just super, super strong. So the max moves were going to get the calcs I needed anyway. Game 1 was just a sweep of Cubone, and Game 2 was a little bit closer. It's just the boost from Cubone just kind of set up my Porygon and Gothita for victory in Game 2. So I took Week 1 off of Krabby 2-0, so I was very, very excited about this win. I don't really have much to say. I brought just a standard Porygon set. This was a very standard week for me, just so I could test the waters on how I really wanted to find the identity of this team. It was very hard because there's a lot of things I wanted to do, but typically mid-season, what I try and do is I try and find the identity of what my team wants to do and how to play around it. Or not play around it, but play with it, I should say, because I feel like finding a core strategy early on is super beneficial compared to other people who just build random shit every week. Like, and I found the strategy pretty damn quick with this team. So going on to next slide. This is my first free agent transaction. This is active week 2. Dropped Darumaka for Score Bunny. I noticed that the team was really struggling on the speed tiers without Tailwind or TR. And I saw that after the draft, but I figured it'd be okay. But as I look at other teams, they have really good speed tiers without Tailwind. And then it's forcing me to bring Tailwind when I have so much stuff I want to bring. I was like, you know what? I love this Darumaka so much. I really wanted to use it. Didn't even hit the field for me, dude. Like, it literally didn't even come. And speed tiers were rough. Cubone hits just as hard, if not as hard. It hits just as hard, if not harder, than Darumaka. As well as a key point that I thought of later on when I was making this video, it totally took the Eviolite away from Porygon. Like, Porygon needs the Eviolite. It really doesn't, but I would very much prefer Porygon to have the Eviolite every week. And I think it pretty much had the Eviolite almost every single week, except for when I had Score Bunny. I think next week, week 2, you'll see. The Score Bunny, I had Cinderace and VBA. Didn't get a chance to finish the season. Again, won't get into that. Helps speed tiers, keeps the initial fire typing. Libero is an awesome ability, and I feel like it's very, 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 very underrated in Little Cup. Score Bunny's fucking based. I love this shit. More versatility offensively, as well as Wakeman VGC. Doesn't require Eviolite to be good, which is very, very true. Although it is kind of frail. But if you have a Life Orb, you can just Airstream. You can max Flare. You can max Knuckle. You can max Flutterbite. You can do whatever the hell you want with this thing. It is so good. And I didn't. Again, this is another mod I didn't really get to use that much. Kind of a spoiler, but it's okay. I basically just want to fix my speed tiers and add more offensive versatility. I feel like this is a win, even though I love Darumaka and I really wanted to use it. It just didn't fit the team how I thought it would, which just kind of sucks. But anyways, I added Score Bunny. Very, very excited about that. Let's go into week 2. Week 2. This is my game. I am 1-0 versus Immortals Incineration, who's also 1-0. This was Dez before he dropped from the league. As you can see, Score Bunny had really good stat line. Cubone, really good stat line. I didn't get the win, though. It came down to him revealing Ally Switch at the last second on not to. If I were to Steel Spike into the Lickitung slot instead of Quake, I think I walk away with that game. But unfortunately, you know, shit happens. There was a lot of hacks in this game too on both sides. And I hate hacks games, dude. I hate games that I win or lose off of hacks. It is just so dumb to me. I hate that so much because if you win or lose a game off of hacks, chances are the better player didn't win. So it just kind of sucks. Game 3, there was no hacks though, if I remember correctly. Game 3, I just got outplayed. He prepped really well with the Ally Switch. I won game 1 pretty handedly with Score Bunny. That's all you can really ask for. I won 3-0 with that one. And then game 2, super close, but he outplayed me at the end after some terrible hacks on both sides. Game 3, Lickitung just went off, as well as the Ally Switch on not to. This Litten was a fucking problem because I had Intimidate, and it was intimidating my 2 main sweepers this week. You remember how I told you that I dropped Darumaka because it took the Eviolite away from Porygon? Yeah, I made a mistake, and it was a mistake that caused me to have a very, very, very rude awakening as to how I should play around with this team. It is keep the fucking Eviolite on Porygon, okay? Do not put it on anything else. It doesn't need it. Porygon needs it. Fuck Score Bunny, or at least Eviolite Score Bunny. It did very good for me though. Got a lot of kills. Can't really complain. It got a really, really, really clutch crit on the Lickitung with high jump kick in game 2, I think. That was pretty wild. I feel like this game kind of catapulted me into the right direction of how I want to play with this team. It is protect the Porygon. Don't lean on anything else unless its name is Cubone or Staryu offensively, and you will be good. So I learned my lesson this week for sure. All right, next slide. I don't have his logo. I am very sorry. I don't have his logo. He doesn't have a logo made, but shout out to Horror Show. As you can see, Porygon 6-0. This video was titled Rookie D's Nuts, as in Rookie D. Fake tears to everything, and Porygon one-shot everything. That's basically all you gotta know. I did bring the Score Bunny this week, but I'm pretty sure it was just Life Orb. It didn't hit the field. Staryu didn't hit the field. Cubone didn't hit the field. It was literally just Porygon, Rookie D, Gothita. That was all, and it was a pretty clean sweep of Porygon. I won 2-0 plus 7. This was probably my biggest win of the season because I was kind of down on myself after losing to Dez. Because I was like, how do I come back from this? Even though it's just week 2, excuse me. How do I come back from this? How do I build a team every week that can beat whatever my opponents got? I was having pretty big confidence issues after that because I just got outplayed by somebody who hasn't really been in the community that much, and that's never a good feeling, especially if you know that they're like newer to the game or newer to the community, newer to the format. It's never a good feeling to lose to somebody with less experience than you. Never is, never will be. As a matter of fact, I made it my mission to try and figure out what I wanted to do this week, and I smoked Dez with Porygon. It was very, 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 very one-sided. And I actually talked to him after the game, and he was like, I was not expecting Fake Tears Rookie D at all. It caught me so off guard. Like, that prep was fucking good. And that gave me the confidence I needed to continue the season with pride, and just, I guess the word I'm about to use is confidence, even though I just said it, but it really gave me a lot of confidence because I was doubting myself after I lost to Dez, and this game was one of the reasons why my season catapulted so far. And you remember how I told y'all, like, don't take the Eviolite off Porygon? Yeah, that's a thing. I did again. But before we talk about that game, we gotta talk about my second free agent transaction. I dropped Score Bunny for Growlithe. And so I realized, as you guys just noticed, I realized I had to play around Porygon for the rest of the season. And I had no choice but to play around it and Cubone for the rest of the season. I saw Growlithe was there, Intimidate, Snarl, Will-O-Wisp, as well as trading a slight downgrade in speed for more offensive versatility and a top 5 support option. And I'm keeping the fire typing. And I can max it. That sounds like a win to me. So I dropped Score Bunny for Growlithe. I needed another support piece that can also be offensive. I think that's the name of the game in Little Cup, especially this format. And very happy I picked up Growlithe. It was one of my MVPs at the end of the season for sure. Just the support it brings and the offense it possibly could bring too. So, knowing that, right? Did I keep the Eviolite on Porygon? The answer is no, I didn't. Why didn't I do that? I don't know. Don't ask me. I cannot give you a correct answer as to why I did this. I think I just wanted to be cheeky about it. I think I just wanted to bring something he wasn't expecting. The problem is Toxic's a good player. We know this. He is he's a 2-time finalist. He was a finalist in GLDL last season, and he was a finalist in UDL in season 2, I think. Don't quote me. I'm pretty sure it was season 2 of UDL. He was a finalist in there too. Okay, so he's got some experience. Fellow MDL vet. Okay, he's got some fucking experience. I lost 2-0 to this man. Because he brought a very, very good core of Sandile, Ghastly, Mienfoo, Mantike. Very, very good core. Probably the best team without a tier 0, without a doubt. And destroyed me. He utterly destroyed me. I had no shot of winning this game because I led Axew Grubbin with Scarf String Shot. And he's good enough to understand the only thing Grubbin can do is Scarf String Shot. He knew what I was going to do and he shut it down immediately. I had Eviolite on Axew and in reality, Axew, Dragon looks really good here. The problem is I couldn't boost it. It never got any calcs and Sandile had Intimidate. So it was never going to work. And I was super sad after this match. You want to talk about a match to turn my season around? This match made me go into a severe recollection of everything wrong that I did because I started off 2-2 in the season. I'm going to be honest with you, with this draft that I got, I wasn't expecting to lose many games and I already lost 2. So I had to do a severe recollection. I literally took time off of Discord. I literally took time off of everything I was doing in my free time. And I went back and watched all my VODs, including this one. Went back and watched more of my VODs from GLDL Season 2 and 1. And some of my showdown clips from XPDLA. I literally went back and said, how do I improve after this game? And the answer is keeping the Eviolite on Porygon. Okay, that's not the real answer, but that's one of the answers. It's to figure out the identity of this team and figure out how to win every week. How to put yourself in an advantage before the game even starts. How to understand the matchup and not just from a type perspective, but from a flowchart perspective too. I did no mocks, none. I just built the team and went with it, and I ended up 2-0. Or, I'm sorry, 2-2. Right? That is not the place where I wanted to be. I wanted to be at least 3-1. I was okay with losing this game because I know how good of a player Toxic is, okay? But the fact that I lost to somebody who's new to the format and new to the community would upset a lot of people. It upset me just because I lost. It has nothing to do with Dez. Okay, Dez had a pretty good season for the most part, okay? He had a pretty good season before he dropped, unfortunately, because he ran out of time, and I understand completely. But I'm not trying to hate on Dez. I'm just saying the loss sucked, all right? It was fucking trash. So I went back, studied my VODs, studied my pace, realized what I did wrong, and I wanted to come back with a vengeance to just stop losing. I made it my mission to never lose another set again. I made a promise to myself that I would not think ahead to finals. I would not think ahead to playoffs. I would take it week to week to week to week. I would focus on going 1-0 that week, and I would not look ahead at all, no matter the circumstances. I literally muted Sandbox. Nobody knows this. I muted Sandbox. I muted GLDL. I muted UDL. I muted PDPL, PDCL. I was paying attention to that too because I have a lot of friends in that league. Shout out to Dan, by the way. I muted a lot of these servers just so I didn't hear the noise of people talking in the league saying, oh, look at Hunter, he lost again. Oh, look at Hunter, he's doing really good. Oh no, I think I'm going to lose to Hunter. Didn't vote in pick'ems, didn't vote in anything. I paid no attention to anybody aside from like VC, which I joined every once in a while. And by every once in a while, I mean I joined every night and fell asleep in VC every night. Shout out to those who know what I'm talking about. Anyways, this match was a turning point for me as a Pokemon player. And like, Toxic, I know you're listening, dude. Like, I just want you to know, like, I don't take this shit personally. Okay, I know it's just a game, but like, I just want to thank you for like putting me in my place, dude. Because if you would not have pushed me like you pushed me in this match, I would not have won this season. I guarantee you. Okay, because I still would have been bringing the wacky shit like Eviolite on Axew, Eviolite on Score Bunny, Eviolite on whatever the fuck, right? So going into my last transaction, I dropped Rockruff for Binacle. Shout out to Binacle. I've never used Binacle or Barbarical in my life, aside from like Rambats on Showdown, and I decided to pick up Binacle for two reasons. First reason, I was never going to use Rockruff after discovering Cubone's potential in games 1 and 3. Okay, never. I want to beat up for Growlithe so I could max something other than Porygon, even though I just said I was not going to take the Eviolite off of Porygon. This next week, it was too good to pass up, and I kicked myself for it for not running on the Porygon set, but this week was very, very, very good. One of the reasons why I didn't run Eviolite on Porygon was because his main Pokemon, which was Kubfu, his tier 0, wrecks my tier 0, okay? So I need to figure out a way around it. The way I figured out how to go around Kubfu is Charm on Meowth, Icy Wind on Staryu, and a beat up into a Justified Growlithe with Eviolite, because he wouldn't be able to break through my Growlithe with his Kubfu because he can't hit it for super effective other than Max Quake. In which case I have ways to deal with this Kubfu. I was running specs on Staryu with Psychic, and I figured out that the way I win this game is by beating Kubfu and beating Dwebble, and basically ignoring everything else. So that's exactly what I did. I maxed Growlithe and I won the game 2-0 with beat up Justified into Growlithe both games. So it was a very, very, very fun game for me, but it was also a reality check that I can still win even though I don't have Eviolite on Porygon. Eviolite placement is very, very, very important in this format. I believe I was Chople on Porygon this week too, which is funny because I was actually just having a conversation with Wade. Shout out to Wade, El Flamingo, and we were talking about how like nobody ever used resist berries because the games would be over in 5 turns anyway. So what's the point of running a resist berry if you're just gonna fucking die anyway? You know what I mean? To a max move. So I ran Chople Berry on Porygon, and I made sure that I lived a banded close combat from this Kubfu. Okay, like I made sure of it, as well as a Life Orb Max Knuckle. So, you know, it's something that I regret doing, but I also don't regret doing because I won. And I promised myself I would figure out how to use this team, and we went on a hot streak after I won this match. This game was pretty close though. Game 1, I maxed Growlithe. I think it caught him off guard a little bit. I won pretty handedly. Should have won 3-0, but one of my mons died at the last second. I think it was Binacle. Died at the last second. no biggie. A win is a win. Game 2, he played a lot better in Game 2, but Growlithe is too strong and it broke through a lot of things that I didn't expect it to break through, like Dwebble, as well as Milcery. And I won because I had Scarf Binacle with Liquidation back to take out the Dwebble. So I kind of got lucky prepping with the Binacle. It did get a kill, which is pretty sweet because it was just a beat up bot. I did bring it Shell Smash, I think, a couple times. But, I felt like it was too good to pass up, and Growlithe is pretty sweet. I wanted to max the Doggo. I wanted to max the Best Boy, and I did it. So that is Week 5 versus Toby, coach of the Chicago Cub Foos. Next week. Week 6, Miami Flare take on the Trixie Tricos, which is Otto. Shout out to Otto. He is probably, if he's not second best player I've ever met, he is the best player I've ever met. He is incredible. As a player and as a human. I know him from XPDLA. I won against him in the regular season of XPDLA, and he beat me in playoffs. So that was pretty crazy. On top of that, he's won and come in finals of a lot of really, really popular leagues. He was top 4 in PDPL, if I'm not mistaken. He's very, very, very solid, widely respected around our community. And he's been kind of like underperforming in this league. Now, I just thought he didn't care. But I did some deeper diving into his pace and his game plans and what he's been doing. I've been watching his VODs. And he brings this damn weakness policy Sandygast every week. I said, you know what beats Sandygast? Rookie D's nuts, baby. So that's exactly what I did. I won Game 2 very handedly with Porygon and Rookie D. Just nuking Sandygast turn 1, and he really couldn't do anything from there on out. Game 2, he outplayed me like quite a fucking bit. And in Game 3, it came down to the wire. It came down to me getting a good roll with I think it was an Ice Beam. It might have been an Ice Beam into the Sandygast. I needed to get the roll, and I got it. I think it was like, it might have been 50-50. I don't remember. I think it was 50-50. It was a 50-50 roll, and I needed to get it to win the game, and I got it. So I lucked out. I won the coin flip there. And I took the win against a very, very, very good player. As you can see, Porygon kind of did it what it wanted. It only died once. And that was in the loss to in Game 2. And this game, I shouldn't have won, but I did. I felt like I got outplayed most of Game 3, but it came down to a roll, and I got the roll and I won the game. So you can't really be mad about that. I did do a lot of study after this game to realize where I went wrong, and it actually helped me out big time for coming weeks. I feel like the Porygon Rookie D mode was very, very, very good for me here. It's pretty good most weeks. You really cannot. There's nothing that can really live a Fake Tears plus super effective move from Porygon, even in max. Like, even if you're maxed, I don't think you're living a lot of the things that Porygon can do to you. It's pretty sweet. It kind of negates the EV Light a little bit off of its max option, at least on the special side, and like AV users and shit. So it's a very good mode. Especially since I can just like Tailwind with Rookie D and I don't have to Fake Tears. I literally led Rookie D Cubone in this game, and I clicked Tailwind and just EQ'd everything with Cubone, and I literally had success with it. So it's like, I've done that a couple times actually, and it's just like, this team has so much versatility now that I have Growlithe. I can run offensive support, whatever the case may be. It's very hard to break through what I have now, and I think this was the game where I started to really realize, like, I need to lean on Porygon, like, quite a bit. And if I lean on Porygon, it'll put in work for me. As you guys can see, I got 8 kills in this week, which is just absurd. Anything over, like, 5 is, like, insane. So it's really showing out right now, especially in this game. This game alone got like a fifth of Porygon's total kills. Now, think about it. I played in 9, 12 games. And so one game got a fifth of its kills in one game. Like, that is crazy. Or at least like close to a fifth. So anyways, moving on. So that was week 6. I got the win over Otto, which is very, very good. I improved to 4-2. Week 7, I'm going up against my boy Raz. As you guys can see, Porygon had another great game. I brought the same fucking set on Rookie D this week. So I needed to figure out how to win this game. I felt like Porygon had a really good matchup because he has 0 switching to normal, as well as I had the Ice Beam for the Joltik, and I was not expecting the Vanillite, but he took game 1 off of me with the surprise max of the Vanillite, which was fucking wild to me. Or I'm sorry, the surprise max of the Carvana in game 1. I wasn't expecting that thing to be coming at all because of Porygon's like epicness, but it did. And he decided to max it against me. Looking at my team, it kind of has a good matchup type-wise. I mean, I don't really have a switch into Water plus Dark. So he did a very good job prepping for that. He had Scarf Coaching on Krogunk. He had Banded Rufflet, which was pretty fucking sweet. And I kind of just won the game. I lost game 1. Game 2 was pretty close. I kind of was in a winning position most of the game, though. And Porygon just kind of did what it wanted, and Growlithe picked up some pretty clutch KOs there with Heat Wave and such. And then game 3 was not really that close. He maxed Vanillite after I killed his Carvana before it could even max, and he didn't max Rufflet all game because it didn't have an Eviolite. So I completely understand that. Not much else to say about this match. It was just kind of back and forth all the way through game 2 to game 3. I kind of won when I realized that I got rid of his best max targets, which were Carvana and Rufflet. And he had to be forced into maxing the Vanillite, and I still had Heat Wave Growlithe. So I was kind of in a favorable position there. Heat Wave did pretty good. As you can see, he has like 4 weaknesses to fire, including Krogunk with Dry Skin. So it's just like, it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet having an option like that now, where I can just spam Heat Waves. And it's actually like a base 70 speed, which is pretty damn good, if you ask me. Like, that's above average. It's not like fantastic, but it's above average. It outspeeds like most of his team, actually, except for his mascot Carvana with speed boost and such. So I improved to 5-2 after this week, going into week 8 versus my boy Ed, I'm pretty sure. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot about this. Oh yeah, okay. So this is my coach-to-coach transaction number 1. You have up to 3 of these, if I'm not mistaken. And wasn't using Axew after my incident versus Toxic. I hit him up, and I was like, yo. He was like, I want to drop this Noibat. And he's like, but there's no Dragon types available. And I'm in VC with him, right? And I just go, yo, I'll straight up swap Axew for Noibat with you right now. And he was like, all right. And I'm like, bro, send the trade right now. And so we sent the trade. It was official. And I got something that I really wanted from the get, which I had to pick up Axew for in the first place. So it was pretty sweet. I got him on that I really wanted. Tailwind plus Frisk is just incredible. It's adding the best of both worlds with my Gothita lead and Rookie D lead. I can never figure out what my opponents were using and set up speed control at the same time. At least positive speed control with Tailwind. So it's better than Rookie D. It's more offensive. I keep the Dragon typing, and I get value out of my tier 3 slot that I wasn't getting with Axew. A lot better value if I'm not, if I'm being honest. So wasn't using it because of Porygon, Cubone, and Growlithe shining as the Dynamax options. There were a couple of weeks where I brought special Growlithe that I thought about maxing it, but I just didn't get around to doing it. Yeah, I was very, very happy about this trade. I think this trade right here is one of the ones that led me into playoffs with confidence, because I have so much that they have to prep for now. They have to prep for Porygon, which is in a handful of itself, right? So you have to dedicate at least one Mon and like maybe some move slots on a different Mon for that, okay? Then you have to deal for Growlithe. How are you going to beat a support Growlithe or a special Growlithe or a physical Growlithe with Intimidate or Justified? How are you going to beat Justified with a max option? How are you going to beat Cubone? Okay, how are you going to do that? How are you going to get past Alolan Meowth with Fake Out and Icy Wind and Charm and Taunt and all that shit. How are you going to get past Noibat, which can set Tailwind with a Sash, and it also has Frisk, so now your whole sets are being revealed to me. How are you going to deal with a max Noibat? How are you going to deal with all this stuff? It's like, I started to really love this team and how it was like melting together. I think like towards the end of this, I think this was the best team I've ever drafted and created through trades. And I literally just kept swapping fire types until I found the one I wanted in tier 1. And I was very happy with how that turned out. And this trade was no different. This was the only... Actually, I take that back. This was one of 2 coach-to-coach trades in Sandbox, period. In Postwick, at least, I think. I don't think there were any in Twin Leaf, but I could totally be mistaken on that. I didn't really pay much attention to Twin Leaf. Neither did anybody else. So, moving on. No, I'm just playing. Week 8. Miami Flare versus Shadow Ducks, my boy Ed, what I just said. He brought fucking Scarf Rhyhorn into me. This shit is crazy. He also brought his Grookey, which he was setting up Swords Dances with, and it was scaring the shit out of me. But I came through with a pretty convincing win in game 1 with Porygon and Growlithe and Meowth. And it was very, very good. And I set Tailwind with Noibat, and it was pretty sweet. Game 2, I actually ended up maxing the Noibat on a read. Okay, so hear me out. So it was Noibat on the field, and I'm pretty sure it was next to either Porygon or Growlithe, and it was like maybe half health. And now this Grookey is at like +4, +3 right now, right? With Grassy Terrain up. So he probably thought that Grassy Glide was going to kill my Noibat. And I wouldn't be surprised if it did. So me reading that, I maxed Noibat instead of Porygon or instead of Growlithe, whatever the case was at the time. I don't remember. And I maxed Noibat, and I basically just win the game off of Noibat just killing everything. It killed everything. It one-shot Grookey, it one-shot Shinx, and it one-shot Wingull as well. So it's just like, it was absolutely insane the amount of kill pressure this Noibat had. And it was a really, really fun game because the matchup was kind of trash for me personally. I thought that if he finds a way to get rid of my Dynamax or like take the EV Light off Porygon, I was in a really tough spot if he set up the Grookey like he fucking did, or if he brought the Wingull with Life Orb. Because like, look at my team. I cannot switch into Wingull. I really cannot. I had Staryu with Thunderbolt, and like that was it. That was literally it. So I really had to find a way to beat the Wingull, Grookey, Togepi dynamic along with Purrloin. Like, his team is really good. Believe it or not, he's making this Wingull work. I don't know how he's making it work, but he's making it work. And of course he has Togepi, which is arguably, actually not even arguably, this is the best redirect in the format, guaranteed. It's only tier 1. I think it should be tier 0. That shit is fucking dumb. It's dumb in a regular format, and he's using it in Little Cup in tier 1 anyways. So I won the game 2-0 pretty convincingly stat wise, but the games were a lot closer than the stats show by a lot. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Now is when I get in to the crazy part. So I hit up Otto, right? I hit this man up. I said, yo, since you're like kind of out of playoffs, right? Like, you trying to trade me Stuffle before you get like officially eliminated so I don't have to use my playoff transaction? And he's like, yeah, why not? So I traded Pancham for Stuffle, which is a pure upgrade. But he did me a favor. He just didn't care anymore. He traded me Stuffle, which was one of the late game MVPs of this team, for Pancham, which I just wasn't using because it wasn't fast enough, it wasn't bulky enough, and it wasn't hitting the calcs that I needed to hit. Okay, just wasn't. And Stuffle, slightly stronger move pool with Fluffy, and it was also faster for coaching. So I could run Scarf and get away with it without even using coaching because its speed tier was decent enough to the point where it was outspeeding the whole format with Scarf. and the move pool is pretty sweet too. So, it gets like double edge and superpower and shit. So the double stab is really nice, and Fluffy's awesome too. So it's one of those mons where you can have it as a Eviolite user without Dynamaxing. Even though I had no intention of doing that, I could at least run like an Assault Vest set or whatever, but most weeks I just ran Scarf, if I'm not mistaken, because it was just so good. So, Stuffle, pure upgrade over Pancham. I mean, that's pretty much enough said. Very good value for tier 3. It's very, very good mon. I love Beware. I love Stuffle. I love that whole evolution line. I was very, very excited to use it. So moving on to week 9 versus my boy Bamuel. I picked up a win. I was not expecting to win this game. I'm not going to lie. At this point, Toxic was 1 game ahead of me on the differential. And there was absolutely no way that I was going to make the bye. So I went into this game not caring if I won or lost because I was making playoffs regardless. It was basically a race for the bye between me and Toxic since like week 4 when I lost to him. So at this point, I was not expecting to get this win. However, I did, and it was pretty sweet. Game 1, I led, actually every single game I led Cubone Stuffle because I thought Cubone had a great matchup versus what he wanted to bring against me. Or at least what I thought what he was going to bring against me. So Cubone with coaching Stuffle looked really good. And in game 1, I brought it, and I ended up not maxing it. I played around Porygon pretty much just the entire game. I had Ally Switch on it, but I didn't reveal it. And when I figured out he had Inner Focus on Mudbray, it was already too late. So I didn't get a chance to let Growl shine as much as I wanted it to. He got Trick Room up, and he undersped me with everything, with even Mudbray and Leap and such, and it was not good. He beat me game 1. The stats looked close, but it wasn't. He was ahead of me like the whole game. Game 2, start the game off with terrible RNG. Terrible RNG. He calls the fake out wrong. He fakes out my Stuffle. I Bone Ring into Solosis, which should be doing like 140%. And I no use Sash. And I missed the Bone Ring. And he gets TR up. And I'm like, fuck, here we go again. The problem is, though, well, it's not really a problem. But I do have Cubone under TR, right? Which seems good in theory. But Solosis was packing Energy Ball. So it was really hard for me to position this Cubone right. So I ended up bringing in Porygon, kind of just predicted everything he wanted to do and tried to make the best play possible middle ground wise all through game 2. And I ended up squeezing out a win with Ally Switch on Porygon. Basically just Ally Switching a big fucking max overgrowth from Lileep that was going into Cubone, into the Porygon, and getting a big hit off on the Lileep with Cubone. And that kind of just won me the end game a little bit because he didn't read the Ally Switch very much. And so I didn't reveal it in game 1 specifically for that reason. And so he kind of tilted off of that. And I kind of just... Cubone just kind of went in game 3. Like, I think it picked up 3 KOs in game 3. If not, it was 2. It might have been 2. And I won 4-0 game 3. I maxed Cubone because I told myself, I said, if he doesn't lead Solosis here, I'm maxing this Cubone. I don't give a fuck. So then I maxed the Cubone, and I knew my Stuffle was going to outspeed everything. He didn't lead Meowth. So I maxed Cubone and coaching. And after 2 coachings, a Dynamax Cubone with Max Quick, one-shot a Dynamax Mudbray. So if that is not a calc for you, I don't know what it is. And that was its second death in the season, that Mudbray. So I kind of got rid of his Dynamax like turn 2. I kind of just won the game. So I kind of came back. I played really good game 2, and I just found a way to win in game 3. Just big win. So that was the end of the regular season. I ended up the 3rd seed at 7-2, right behind Toxic at 7-2. He just had a better diff. So after that, let's move into the playoff transaction. So I know. I just picked up Neubat, okay, and I was really debating whether or not I wanted to drop it or not. But let me tell you something right now. This Zorua pickup is one of the only reasons why I won my championship. Okay, faster fake tears. Illusion has game-winning potential, which it really does. It did. Okay, and it was also really good in the Toxic's team. I felt like after my performance versus Wake and my performance versus Toby in the regular season that I could probably scoot by keeping the same idea of a team versus those two guys, but I lost to Toxic in the regular season. And so I wanted a more consistent way to win the game with Porygon than just Rookie D, Scarf, whatever the hell. So I wanted to pick up Zorua because I knew if I beat whoever I played in the first round, I would be playing Toxic since I was third and he was second. So, picked up Zorua, dropped Noibat. I preferred TR over Tailwind in playoffs anyway, so I just didn't need it. And Zorua has game-winning potential with its ability. And I wanted it, and it got sniped from me in the initial draft. And, yeah, so that's basically why. All right, moving into the quarterfinals versus my man Bobias. Zorua won the game for me. It literally won the game for me. It fake tears. I disguised it as... What did I disguise it as? I think I disguised it as Gothita. And I fake tears everything. Won the game. Game 2, I disguised it as Porygon. So he fake outed into... Or no, he didn't fake out. But he targeted my Gothita thinking it was a Zorua. And it wasn't. It was the... It was actually the Gothita there. So... The Zorua got another fake or a free fake tears off, and just it was really good. Porygon and Cubone both did what they wanted. The Psy mode I had with just setting Psychic Terrain with Porygon's Max Psychic with Expanding Force on Gothita was really good for me this season. It was really good for me this game too. He did not have a single Psychic resist. He had one normal immunity, but other than that, Dwebble. Okay. And I just kind of won the game because he had Eviolite on Milcery and not his max options. So I was very, very happy with how the team performed. It was very, very, very good start. I was very confident going into semis versus Toxic. So, yeah, this game was really good. I really liked how I could use Zorba, and it gave me an idea for week 2 of playoffs, which was the semis. Playing Toxic, so on to that. I won 2-0, and this was a big deal for me because he's smoked me in week 4. He smoked me, and I ran Scarf Zorua with fake tears, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure it was Scarf, and I ran, or maybe it was Scarf Stuffle. Can't remember off the top of my head. One of those two had the Scarf. Actually, it was Zorua. I know that for a fact. It was Zorua. So the idea was to try and do the same thing I did in last week versus Toby, but with a little bit of a meta game. So I really wanted to win with Porygon here, and Zorua disguised as Gothita was very good here. However, I disguised it as Porygon the first time, because I was assuming he was gonna think I was going to disguise Zorua as Gothita, which is exactly what I predicted. And so I disguised it as Porygon, and I got Trick Room up with Porygon. With Gothita. It was very, very good. On top of that, it set my Staryu up for success in the late game because I timed Trick Room good, maxed Porygon. He maxed Mantike game 1, if I'm not mistaken. And he went the Trico route game 2, and I was specs on Staryu, and the Thunderbolt literally one-shotted Mantike with fake tear Zorua, so that was kind of the goal. All I had to do was fake tears it. It also got one-shotted by Max Lightning from Porygon, which was really good. I was just very overall happy with how this game went. Big redemption arc for me. Getting the win over Toxic in this week of playoffs and semis, because not only that, but now I get to go to my third final in a row which was very exciting for me. Third time's the charm, obviously, I guess. And I outplayed him in game 1. Game 2, he played pretty good, but it was super close. It was closer in the score shows. Came down to the wire on that one. And Psychic Terrain basically just won me the game. He couldn't stop my Psy mode. And Gothita went off. Porygon went off. Zorua put in work. Staryu picked up so many clutch KOs. He had 4. Got a really good burn on Mienfoo in game 1. Enough to secure me the victory there. And I'm sorry, game 2. Secured me the victory in game 2. Picking up 4 KOs, most on the team. And pretty much I just kind of went with my bread and butter. A lot of people can't stop it. And I noticed that in after week 4, I said, why didn't I bring Porygon? He cannot stop Porygon except with Charming, or I'm not Charming. He can't stop Porygon without bringing Mienfoo. So I had to charm it. That's what I had to do. But I didn't even bring Meowth because I said, I'm confident enough, I don't need Meowth. I'm bringing Cubone, Stuffle as a potential backup option if things go awry, right? So, that was basically my semifinals match versus Toxic. Let's get into the finals match versus Wake. Grand finals versus the boy Bamuel, right? So he made a slight adjustment, and I actually predicted this. I even said it in my video before the Mons even showed. I thought he was going to be bringing Corphish because my Cubone wrecked him in week 9, and I knew he had to bring something else other than the Leap for Corphish. Or I'm sorry, for Cubone. So he was bringing Corphish. And no idea what this Machop set was. I think I saw in his video he was Scarf. Which is actually what I thought he was going to be in week 9. Which is funny that he did that because I was very, very ready for it this time. He kind of went the opposite route that he did in week 9. He was leaning on the Mudbray this week in finals, and he kind of just let the Leap do its thing with the Corphish. He had like this really cool Surf Corphish into like Storm Drain Leap, but he was Sash Leap and he was Specs Corphish. So he basically just tried to boost the Leap. I thought when he started doing this that he was going to be Eviolite Leap, and I was going to be in trouble because I was bringing, I was bringing Max Porygon that was physical. It was Giga Impact, Iron Tail, Ice Beam, Ally Switch. That was the set, and I was bringing Screech on Meowth. And I was bringing Cubone also, as well as Staryu and Stuffle and all this other shit. The main plan was Porygon Stuffle coaching, right? But then I saw Meowth and I said, nope, I can't do it. I have to leave Meowth every time. I think we both realized that. I think I remember him vaguely saying something like that in his VOD, like, oh, damn, he brought Meowth. I guess I gotta lead it now, or something like that. So we were basically just trading icy wins all game. Game 1, I lost pretty handedly. He just outplayed me. Game 2, it was neck and neck. And then I brought in Staryu, and I said in my video, I'm like, dude, I need to get this Ice Beam Freeze with Porygon, or I need to burn one of these Scalds with Staryu to win the game. I need to get this burn right now if I want to win. And I got the burn on Scald. And I won game 2, 1-0 with Staryu getting the last KO on the Mudbray. So, kept my season alive there. Game 3, I readjusted. I thought, so this is me just knowing how Wake is, okay? If he was going to win a set but lost it to Hacks, he is going to do the same thing because he knows he could win. So I thought he was going to go Lileep Corphish again. So I said, you know what? Fuck it. It's time. I'm bringing out the Porygon Meowth lead, which I didn't do all game, right? I just didn't do it. Game 1, I led Zorua Meowth. Game 2, what did I lead? I might have led Cubone Meowth. Yeah, I did lead. I led Cubone Meowth. And then game 3, I led Porygon Meowth, like legitimately. In game 1, I had Zorua disguised as Porygon. Okay. So that was the thing. Porygon came in. I screeched to the leap, brought it down to Sash. I fake outed Corphish, one-shotted it before I could even boost to the leap. Killed the Corphish, killed the leap. I was at +2 by the time Mudbray even used a max move. And then I charmed it, so he was neutered. And he couldn't touch my Porygon for his life. He didn't bring Machop, he brought Meowth. And I kind of just steamrolled game 3 because I got the charm off on the Mudbray and it couldn't do anything. So brought it home after I charmed the Mudbray. As soon as I charmed the Mudbray, I kind of knew I won. But I just wanted to play it safe. I didn't want to like risk losing after he just fucking like got charmed. Like, I know he's not stamina, so I'm good. Like, this game was just such a roller coaster of emotions because I thought I lost game 2 until I got the burn and I won. And I was super hyped. Went into game 3 super fucking confident. Played my ass off and just won. This set will be one that I will remember for the rest of my life, as well as, you know, the rest of my Pokemon career. It is iconic to my arc, especially since I lost him in GLDL finals, and I didn't take a set off of him in GLDL. I lost what week was that? I think it was week 9 also. Week 9 versus him, because he had a Cinderace, Venusaur, Ninetales team, and I had a Rain team, and it was a Weather War all game, and I had a Celesteela. So, like, kind of sucks. The matchup really sucked. But, like, I brought it to 3 every time we played. So, like, you can't really complain. Like, I was in it to win it, okay? I'm very glad that I had a chance to redeem myself, because if I didn't, I would be very, very upset. And, you know, it always sucks to lose a finals. I know how it feels. I lost against Emboss. I almost cried. Lost a Wake. I was upset. Didn't really cry. And then this one I won. I fucking yelled at the top of my lungs to the point where my neighbor knocked on my door and asked if I was okay. That's a true story, by the way. You know, so this game meant a lot to me. And the fact that I won it on the shoulders of Porygon and Meowth, the duo that I've wanted all along, it just warms my heart, and I'm just very happy I won this game. So yeah, moving on. That was a lot. I probably spent way too much time talking about those games, but it is a-okay. I'll try and end this a little bit quick here. Last set, the season overview, just what I thought and closing thoughts on my performance and shit. So this is the Sandbox Draft League Season 1 Postwick Division Championship team, with the stats below each mon. Porygon, 44 kills, was the MVP of this league by a wide margin, I think by 10 or 15 kills, period. That means differential, by the way. Cubone was my co-MVP of this team. It shined when Porygon couldn't, and I think they complemented each other so much. You know, just it was really hard sometimes to try and outspeed a lot of my opponent's stuff under Trick Room, because 35 and 40 and 45 and all these fucking mid TR tiers, especially when there's a Leap running around, when there's a Mudbray, when there's a Machop, you know what I mean? It's very hard to underspeed that stuff. But it didn't matter, okay? They still came through, they still won the games. Growlithe was my second best pickup. It literally carried me a couple games, especially week 5 versus Toby, and the support sets I brought were very good versus Raz and Ed, and you know, you can't really go wrong with that. Gothita, you know, backup Trick Room setter, came in clutch with some of the expanding forces, came in clutch with some of the fake tier shit that it did, specifically against Krabby and Dez. Stuffle, late season pickup, was super good for me in a couple games, specifically versus Wake. In week 9, it was very good. In finals, it picked up a KO on Poniard that was super clutch. For coaching in week 9 versus Wake. Zorua, my championship winning transaction. The Illusion literally won me quarters and semis straight up. I wouldn't have won without it. I'm very convinced. At least semis. Staryu, the unsung hero of this team. It picked up KOs when I needed them most, especially in finals. That burn was just... You can't replicate the excitement I got when I fucking got that burn. And when I saw Staryu lived. Like, it was something else. Meowth, Alola, I'm still convinced it's the best support option. I don't care what anybody says. It did more for me than any other mon on this team besides Porygon and Cubone. Like, it is just incredible. Rookie D, the biggest meme on this team. Rookie D's nuts. I literally did it 3 weeks, dude. 3 weeks. I had fucking a sequel and then another one on top of it, dude. Like, it is just... I had a triple Rookie D feature. And it was awesome. Binacle and Grubbin didn't really do much. Binacle helped me win Game 5. Other than that, it didn't really come to any games. I didn't really need it. Grubbin came to 1 game. That was it. But the threat of Scarf String Shot is still valid. Like, I think it's very, very good. I actually almost brought it in finals, believe it or not, over Stuffle, because Stuffle was Scarf, and I was like, maybe I should just use String Shot. But no, I figured that Icy Wind on Meowth was better. So this is your championship team. This is my championship team. This is everybody's Miami Flare championship team, the first Miami Flare Dynamax championship team. Very glad I got to do it with some of the mons I love the most. Love Porygon, love Growlithe, love Cubone, love Zorua. I have a Zorua plushie too. I have Rookie D plushie too. It is just... I am just so happy to be saying this, that I won. I won. And I will never get tired of saying it. It is just... It's something that you can't really replicate. Putting your hardest effort in some weeks, like... And then just coming out victorious, like, it is so rewarding. And this is why I play this game. I just play it because not only was it my favorite game from the age of 4 till now when I'm 21, like, it's just something special. And playing Draft League is never always fun because you will take some rough losses. It's just the nature of Draft League. But I'm just glad that all this work I put in, especially this season and towards the end of GLDL Season 2 and Empoleon, like, I'm just glad it came to fruition and it paid off in the end. So, moving on. So this is kind of like the analysis of what led me to success, what held me back, etc. Nailing the initial draft. Basically just getting what I wanted, building good around Porygon with the Meowth, with the Cubone, Gothita, Staryu, etc. Drafting comfort. I was very comfortable with Growlithe because I've used Arcanine in the past. That wasn't a draft pick, but it was a very good transaction. I've used Gothitelle in the past very well, and Gothita is basically the same thing but in little cup form. I use Starmie a lot in singles, not a lot in doubles, like, at all. So Staryu was pretty much comfort for me. As well as Meowth. I've used Persian a lot. So those picks itself and that transaction with Growlithe was just it was very, very good. Nailed every transaction. I genuinely feel like I didn't take an L in any single transaction that I made. Anything from Darumaka to Scorbunny to Growlithe to Rockruff to Binacle, and then the trades Axew for Noibat, and then Pancham for Stuffle, as well as the Noibat for Zorua. I feel like I nailed every single one. I feel like every single one of them led me to success. I don't think any of them hindered me at all. I would even argue that the Scorbunny one didn't hinder me because it gave me a wake-up call on how I should actually play the fucking game. Testing different things during the season. I tested out, the max Axew, the max Growlithe, the max Noibat. It's the experiments that help you grow as a player. And it lets you realize, like, your ideas are good, your ideas suck. Maybe this idea could have been better here, which is exactly what happened with me, especially in weeks 2 and 4, the ones that I lost. I was thinking to myself, why didn't I just bring Max Porygon? Why did I have to go outside the box? I didn't have to, but I did. And then you realize, like, you need to really start taking these things more seriously because they're losing you games. And this is me to myself. So, being fine with not maxing Porygon in every game, like, it it hindered me, but it also led me to success. This specifically showed in my week 5 and week 8s. Toby and Ed, I maxed different mons than and week 9, by the way, against Wake. Maxing Cubone in that one too. In my week 1 versus Krabby, maxing Cubone. Ed, I maxed Noibat. Toby, I maxed Growlithe. Like, I maxed mons that weren't Porygon, and I didn't have to max Porygon in those games. I think it's just the difference of identifying your win conditions versus identifying what works, if that makes sense. Because in prep, obviously, Porygon's the most ideal option, right? Like, that is just obvious, but sometimes I feel like, if you go outside the box when it really works. Like, if you see something that you just can't pass up on, like that Noibat max I did versus Ed, or that Growlithe max I did versus Toby, I feel like just go for it. Like, you only live once. Like, if you lose, you lose. Like, I was in a position to make playoffs, even if I lost to Ed, so I was okay with taking that risk there. As well as Wake, with the Cubone. It's just stepping outside your comfort zone a little bit, even though, like, the ones against Toxic and Dez, like, kind of boned me a little bit. They were growing experiences for me. So I would not go back and change a thing that I did this season at all. And this kind of leads into what I was saying in the prior statement, but having multiple great max options besides the tier 0 picks, a lot of teams did. Specifically Toxic. Toxic made Max Ghastly, Max Mantike, Max Trico. He made a lot of shit work. Okay. As well as Wake, who maxed Laleep. What else did he max? Laleep, Mudbray. I'm sorry. I don't know. I think he maxed Magby one week. I don't remember. That's not the point I'm making, though. The point I'm making is you have to try and figure out ways to max things that aren't your tier 0. Everybody's going to be prepping for your tier 0, okay? That's just how it's going to go. Everybody's going to be honing in on that tier 0. How to stop your tier 0. How to stop the support pieces around your tier 0. You got to figure that out, okay? This is a huge point. These next 3 points are the biggest 3 points I could ever harp on. Solo prepping without mocks, and that is super unpopular, I understand. Because there are a lot of people in this league who prep with other people every single week, with mocks, and that forces you to over prepare. It happened to me so many times in GLDL, specifically versus my game versus Jaden and my game versus Wake in finals. I over prepared. I didn't think what was good. I thought about how my mocks went. If you figure out a flowchart in your mind, you don't need to do mocks, okay? You don't need to have somebody else's opinion on your teams, okay? It's kind of an unpopular opinion. I understand people want to prep with other people. I understand it's part of the community. I understand. Okay, I get it. I really do. I used to be there. This season, I didn't prep with anybody. I did not ask for prep help once. I did not do a single mock match, not one. I only prepped by myself. And myself only. I did not ask for any help. I'm pretty sure it was Wake. I was like messing with him. It was a little bit of banter before finals. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'm probably just gonna go prep with Flamingo and M-Boss again, because every single time that he's prepped with Flamingo and M-Boss, he's beat me." So like, it was kind of a meme. And so I was like, man. Like, that's crazy. And he was like, what? Like, you never ask for prep help. Like, he said that to me, and I'm like, you're right. I'm like, I haven't. I didn't even think about that. But I was just having success with flowcharting in my mind and not listening to other people and trusting my own gut, which is the next point I have. Like, it led me to success, and I think I'm going to start doing that in the future, because mocks hinder your prep in a lot of ways. Like, let's say, for example, I'll give you a perfect example. My match versus Jaden. I had a set. I won't say what set it was, but I had a set that I thought was really good. I did mocks with somebody. I changed that set. Go into the game. The set would have been great like I originally thought, but the mocks changed my mind that it wasn't good enough. And I feel like that happens with a lot of people. I feel like that happens with a lot of people who are having success in a lot of leagues that throw big games. Okay? Like, people who go out of their way to prep with people are being hindered. Even if that player is a world-class player, I don't care who it is, okay? If you think something is good and you change it in mocks, I guarantee you're either going to regret it, or your answer or your thought will never be answered on whether or not that set would have worked or not. And obviously I take wins over regret, or wins over thinking like maybe a set that I thought was good would have worked. I don't care about that stuff. A win is a win, all right? But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, like, it hindered me to prep with people, so I didn't. And then I noticed that every single time somebody prepped with somebody else and they played me, I came out victorious. Every single time. There was not one time this season in Sandbox where somebody prepped with multiple people for me and Porygon specifically and came out on top. I don't think that's a coincidence. And I'm not saying that because I think I'm like the best player in the world or anything like that. I'm obviously not. Like, by any stretch of the imagination. This is my first Dynamax win, okay? I'm just saying, like, maybe people trusting their gut sometimes. Sorry, voice crack. I've been talking for a while. Sometimes people trusting their gut is probably better for them in the long run, because you're not improving if you're being carried by somebody who's team building, in my eyes. And I think that's an unpopular opinion, but I think this season should show that. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody, messages me after this game. I don't care. I'm not calling anybody out, by the way. I'm just saying this is a general statement. Like, it's a legit thing being rewarded with a win when you don't need anybody else's help. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm so good I don't need anybody else's help. No. I purposefully solo prepped this season, like, without even realizing it. I didn't go out of my way to ask for people's opinions on things. I didn't do that because I didn't think it was necessary, because it's a little cup league. Like, but then people started taking seriously, and I'm like, oh shit, like, people are actually like going out of their way to prep with other people. Like, this is crazy. Anyways, enough of that though. Just try to listen to your own mind sometimes. That's all I gotta say. That's my advice to people. Another thing I really, really, really enjoyed doing was having my prep notes open during games. I actually have a notebook. Hold on. A notebook. Where's that? It's right here. I have a notebook. It's like a little, like 5-inch by 3 spiral, like, wired notebook. And I have half of it filled out with notes that I took pre and post game. Like, I'll post a picture of it right here, like, on the screen. I had these notes open while I was playing my games. I had calcs written down. I had matchup notes. It was basically allowing me to take an open note test. Okay? And that was so beneficial to me, especially in weeks 7, 8, 9, and all through my playoff games, which is where I really, really, really started to take heavy notes. It really helped me out big time, and I recommend that to a lot of people. You can go get a notebook at the store for like $2.99. Like, this is a 3x5 inch, like, just top flight, just spiral lined paper notebook. Like, it just saved my life, and it was very, very, very beneficial to me. So that's what kind of led me to success. Now to the negatives, what held me back. Not trusting my intuition enough. This is something I harped on in the last slide, and specifically in GLDL Season 1 and Season 2. And I'll go over both. So, GLDL Season 1, I was really rocking with this Dragapult sock combo, the coaching in Dragapult, and it looked really, really good in the finals, but I figured that he was going to prep for it big time, which he actually ended up did, with Weakness Policy Togekiss. Shout out to M-Boss, by the way. I love that kid. He prepped really good for that. And I brought a mode that I wasn't very sure of, but I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to go with it. I don't care. Like, I'm too cocky. Like, I'm just going to go with it. And I ended up losing 2-1 after winning game 1. So he reverse swept me. And in Season 2, I didn't bring the set that I thought would be good. And that was Dynamax Flygon with Coaching Sock. I didn't bring it. And because I was scared of a lot of the shit that he was going to be doing to me, and it fucked me in the end because I was stuck relying on Celesteela, and once my Politoed died, it was over. Okay, and he killed my Politoed like pretty early on in games 2 and 3, so I was fucked in both those games. Again, prepping too much, which is kind of going in back to the mocks, and I say kind of because you never really prep too much. You can never really flowchart too much. It's just the over prediction of your opponent's prep, which makes you like, and it's the over like complicating things, because okay, so like I've had this situation in box before, and I know a lot of people have, where you have a really good idea, and then you're prepping, but then you find a set that fucks that, so then you have to adjust that set, and it's just an endless cycle. Just go with what your gut says, okay? You don't have to always over prep in mocks with that kind of stuff. Another thing that held me back, and this is a huge one, focusing on the player I'm competing against more than the matchup. And this had to do with week 2 and week 4. I vastly underestimated Dez, and I will be the first to admit that in week 2, lost to him. And I vastly was scared of playing Toxic in week 4, and I got smoked because I was thinking too much. And I wasn't thinking about the matchup. I was thinking about the player. And that sucks. That's another thing. I was the same way in GLDL Season 1. Like, I joined GLDL Season 1. I lose one set. All throughout Huron, I lost one set. And it was because I didn't have a team that I ended up, like, picking up. I was using somebody else's scraps. It wasn't even that great of a team. I ran this really niche, like, brick break into fucking weakness policy Drampa set. And, like, I lost because I didn't have mons I was comfortable with. And I ended up making finals, like, after being a replacement coach of a team that was 0-3. And then 0-4 because I lost that game too. Going to finals, super cocky, thought I had it in the bag, and boss fucking smoked me in games 2 or 3. Like, I totally underestimated him. And then in season 2, it was the same thing. Like, I thought like Wake was so good of a player and this matchup sucked so much. Like, I didn't think I was gonna win. Then I went in, I was doubting myself, and it was terrible, and I ended up losing. Those are things that held me back in this season and prior seasons, and it really helped me out trying to get over that, and I actually ended up getting over that in week 9, where I played Wake. I got over that. So not bringing obviously strong set spreads due to over prediction and prep. I kind of already talked about that. Losing sleep over matchups was a huge thing because it affected my work life, and it was trash. Like, I was literally losing sleep over week 9 versus Wake, and semis versus Toxic, and finals versus Wake. I lost sleep. I know Wake lost sleep too in finals. That's just because it's finals, though. I feel like that's fair for anybody in finals ever. Listening to other people talk about the state of the league, and I said pick'ems in quotes. That is a big thing. I think I already talked about this earlier on in the video. If you ignore that stuff, if you mute the channel, like, all distractions are out of the table. You will not get overconfident. You will not lose confidence. You will be neutral, and you want to be neutral. You do not want to be overconfident or less confident in yourself. It is terrible on both sides. I've been there on both sides. It is trash. Lack of discipline in game, just like being distracted by little things, zoning out, etc. Over predicting opponent sets. I think I've already talked about this a couple times. Over predicting opponent sets has to do with mocks and like prepping with other people. Like, oh, well, what if he brings this? Oh, what if he brings that? How are you gonna deal with this? It sucks. And I have to make a shout out here. Shout out to Toby, because there was one day where I think he was prepping for his PDCL match versus somebody, and there were like 10 of us in call trying to help him out, and he was having a fucking aneurysm trying to do this, and he ended up going off saying, I'm only going to prep with Toxic because I can't stand you fuckers yelling in my ear. And we were all like, whoa, what the fuck? I totally understand what he was saying, like 100%. So shout out to Toby for that one, dude, because he vastly over predicted and brought some whack ass shit in that match. He knows exactly what I'm talking about. And, you know, he regrets it, and he only preps by himself or with one person now, and he's having a lot better of a time. I will say that for a fact. So, all right, moving on. Things to take away from season 1. Raz is an incredible league owner. He was spot on with everything. He set up the league perfectly. This is mostly like kind of a thing that helped me out. Kind of telling myself I was capable of winning a championship. Having a championship mentality always helps. But it's just taking it week to week. You know, you don't have to think ahead to the championship. Just take it week to week, and as long as you go 1-0 that week, that's all that matters. trusting your gut is a win-win scenario 100% of the time, and I will explain why. Trusting your gut is a win-win scenario 100% of the time because either you predict correctly and you trust yourself more, or you predict wrong and you learn from it. Okay, so like you have to have an open-minded like system where you can trust your gut and begin to trust yourself more, or take more self-reflection and realize what you do wrong. This is kind of like a sports mentality, but it helps in Pokemon because Pokemon's very, very mental. Take key notes on the matchup and study before and after games. That is 100% something that helped me out, especially after I lost to Toxic. I already talked about that. Post-game analysis is arguably more important than pre-game. I 100% agree with this. You can reflect on what you did right, what you did wrong, not necessarily like, oh, I wonder what I can do. No, like hindsight's always 20/20. If you figure that shit out, you can improve vastly. And I started doing this after my finals match with Wake in GLDL Season 2 because I was so fucking tired of losing in finals. VOD study is the best prep you can do. I kind of already said that. Tone out the noise of people talking in the league. That is absolutely something that I talked about, something I 100% agree with. If you want to mute a server, do it. Don't let it affect your activity, though, because if you're active in a server, people will like you. People will be more happy to help you. People will be more happy to hear you out on things. People will like you more. Just don't be a dick, okay? Don't be an R2 and just, like, disappear after, like, you know, getting shit on because he's a dick. Totally just name dropped him. Don't give a fuck. Anyways, moving on. So this is a little special thing I wanted to include that I actually came across when I was searching through my email. This is something that I did when I lost in MDL Season 1 in Week 9. I lost to Jizzy. And I was his first win on the season, and this was one of the reasons why I tune out noise in leagues. The MDL, shout out to Maxwell, shout out to all those guys. I love those guys to death. They did weekly breakdown videos, and I would take them to heart because they would be serious and they would be giving legitimate criticism, and I took it to heart too much. And they were all predicting me to like make playoffs and make a run, and I got overconfident, and I drafted a really good team, and I just sucked. This was a very depressed hunter. This was a hunter that didn't know what he was doing in life. So the themes in this letter are kind of, I don't want to say graphic, but like they're kind of sensitive. So if you want to skip over this, I'll leave a timestamp in the description so you can skip over this if you don't want to listen. But this was a letter that I wrote to myself after I forfeited my last 2 weeks in MDL because I was so depressed I couldn't play anymore. So I'll just read it. This is dated October 16th, 2020, back when MDL Season 1 was just ending. Hey Hunter, it's yourself. I want you to come back to this letter once we win our first championship. I'm writing this to you after getting destroyed by Jizzy in Week 9 of MDL Season 1. We were his first win in the season, and I'm super disappointed by our play. I actually just messaged Maxwell and told him we were FFing our last 2 games of the season. That was a very hard message to send, by the way. I want to improve so badly. I want to win MDL more than anything right now. I feel like the draft was good. If you remember, we had the G-Max, Lapras, Kingdra, Alolan Marowak draft. That draft was really fucking sick. I love that shit. I couldn't hang with the best in the league. I know we'll win a championship before whatever game come on next. Hopefully Diamond Pro. Yes, dude. Oh, I forgot I included that. I was really rooting for the Diamond Pro Platinum remakes. Regardless, we really need to win. Or I'm sorry. Regardless, we really need to improve on Dynamax timing and prepping. Whenever we prep with Maxwell, it seems so easy, but prepping by ourselves is what's costing us winnable games. And I have improved on that, I believe, if it doesn't show it this season. I hope to improve on things in the future sooner rather than later. With school and life, it's hard to focus on Pokemon these days. With practice, I'm sure we can get in a groove and start consistently competing for championships. I have faith in us. The good news is it's only up from here. Don't draft Lapras again. This Pokemon is actually trash. It doesn't do any damage unless you give it a life orb. Anyways, hopefully you read this back to yourself soon. Can't wait to finally have a championship under our belt. Best regards and best of luck, Hunter. So, I was at a very low place when I wrote that letter to myself, and I'm just, like, I'm kind of getting emotional right now because, like, that just, it is just incredible that I wrote this letter to myself and I manifested it after I forgot about it. And it's kind of like a time capsule. Like, I don't know if you guys know what a time capsule is, but it's like something that you like plant in the ground, and then 20 years, 30, 40 years later, you dig it up and like remember what life was like back then. Like, this is a time capsule, because it's actually November 15th that I'm making this video. So this is it's over 2 years ago that I wrote this to myself, and I was begging myself to win a championship, and I just brought it home for my sake. So it's very, very heartwarming to read that back to you guys. So anyways, moving on before I start like really getting emotional. Okay, special thanks to Raz for inviting me into the league and the mod team. I really like being a part of a mod team. I like having input on the league. Whether it's positive things or negative situations, I like having input. I like helping people out. I love doing that for people. Thank you to all the Postwick coaches for helping me improve every week, whether that was VOD study or just playing or beating my ass or whatever the case may be. Shout out to Wake, Toxic, El Flamingo, Charles, and Toby for being the VC homies, being there for me no matter what, even like draft league stuff aside, just being great friends to me. Thank you all very much. You guys have helped me out quite a bit. The Sandbox mod team for working as a team and coming together to resolve issues. Feels good to have people like y'all in the corner. Absolutely true. It's just nice to have people on my side on things and to have a similar point of view on discrepancies that we have in the league and such. It's very nice to have people like y'all, and that specifically I'm talking to Wake, Wade, fucking Raz, fucking Ryan, and there's one more, Rolo, I'm missing, I think. Love all y'all, thank you very much. And Matt from MDL, NBC. I hit him up at the end of my GLDL season 1 season. I asked him, I said, hey, can I use, did I say MDL? I meant GLDL season 1 season. I said, hey, can I use like your breakdown video for your championship and MDL season 2 video? Can I use that as inspiration for a future video? And he said, absolutely. And thank you for the inspiration, man. Means a lot. Been a long time coming since GLDL season 1. That was like last summer, I think. So yeah, actually it was last winter. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all y'all. If you made it this far, if you didn't, that's fine. I know you watched at least some of it. I appreciate every single last one of you guys that is in my corner on things. I'm very glad I got to bring a championship to the Miami Flare name, and I'm just so psyched that I'm finally done recording this video, because it has been an hour and 40 something minutes that I have been recording this shit. So anyways, thank you all for watching. I already said that. Thank you for supporting me. Please like and subscribe if you guys enjoyed this video. It took me a long time to put this together, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. See y'all for season 2, and stay tuned. UDL playoffs are coming up. I'm actually playing in the first round. I lost in week 5. I didn't get the bye, so I'm playing whoever the fuck I gotta play. I'm ready. I'm hyped. I'm down to bring another championship to the Miami Flare name before Sword and Shield is officially over. Scarlet and Violet comes out on Friday, so I'm super psyched for that. Stay tuned for more draft league content from your boy. It's been Archery Guy signing out for the last time from Sandbox. Later.